Greetings, petrolheads. Welcome back to Automation. And first of all, if I sound a little different than normal, it's because I have a sore throat. I've had one all day ever since I woke up. It's always very annoying when you wake up and something's hurting. In this case, my throat. And the other thing I was gonna say, well, hopefully that sore throat goes away until later today when I'm gonna be streaming. It's gonna be a test stream today at 4 p.m. local time. That is GMT +2. Checking all the settings, making sure everything works, and then my actual first stream will be tomorrow at the same time. 4 p.m. GMT +2. Come say hello and have a little conversation and chat. And the reason I started in here on this window is because I will be doing another tutorial today, but I don't want to spend half an hour of this episode on the design tab. So I did the design before recording. So for a luxury car, which this is going to be, out of the 5 main stats: drivability, sportiness, comfort, prestige, and safety, everything except for sportiness is very important. So we went for carbon fiber here because not only does it have the best prestige but also the best safety. And this is a luxury car, it's going to be expensive. If it's a kind of a budget luxury car, you can also go for something like AHS steel, I guess. Aluminium can be fine, but it's not that good for the safety. It's probably better for the drivability because of its better stiffness. But I chose carbon fiber because this is going to be a more high-end luxury car. And sure, longitudinal. Then the best options here, because they make for better drivability and better sportiness and better comfort than the Rouge buttons or McPherson's here or anything else. And then carbon fiber again for the prestige and the safety. Well, this is the larger version of the saloon body. I don't think I need to say this extra. So we are going to go to this tab right here, and I think this is not going to be a crazy powerful. This is not going to have a crazy powerful engine. So river drive might be fine, but then the all-wheel drive is definitely, easier to drive, and this engine bay is certainly certainly big enough for fitting an inline 6 and all-wheel drive. So I see no reason not to go with all-wheel drive here. Speaking of which, the way I explained the cylinders working last time is a little bit misleading, because, wait a minute, give me a second here. First, I'll explain it in just a bit after we have done this bottom end. So 6 cylinders because of the biggest smoothness, and cast iron, I think, because economy is not that important, and keeping it lightweight is also not that important. However, what is important is safety, and the heavier your car is, the safer it is. That's also one part of the safety calculations of this game is the weight. As far as capacity goes, now we are not going to rev this engine very high because we want good reliability. So 100.5 or something on the stroke, and then let's go up to 4 liters. 4 liter inline 6 should already be, because we're going to turbocharge this engine, would already be a pretty prestigious engine, I have to imagine. Friction is very low, which means the smoothness should be better. Let's go with the valve setup, and we're gonna put in all the best parts because that makes for the best smoothness. Forged, I think. So yeah, I made this little analogy with the clock, representing one step each of the combustion on the four-stroke engine. However, take that as an analogy, as a metaphor, because the pistons themselves do not move clockwise; they move only up and down. However, as you can see, at one point they're up, then they're in the middle going downwards, then they're down, and then they're in the center moving on their way up. And think of it that way, like if you have, like if being up is step 1, then 2 is in the middle, and then 3 is down, and 4 is in the middle on the way back up, and then and if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 on a 4-cylinder engine, then that would make it so the next step would be 2, 3, 4, 1, and it would always be just a little bit short. It's kind of abrupt. It stops at 4 and it goes back to 2. Whereas if you have a 6-cylinder engine, like right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2 again, because we only have 4 steps, if you will. Then this one does the same step that this one will do on the next. What do you call it, on the next rotation, or whatever we want to call it? Which makes the engine much more balanced, much more smooth in the end. Much smoother. And especially if you have a V12 and you have another cylinder bank of 6 cylinders right here, and you would make it so the first cylinder bank goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then the other one goes 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 4, 3. So the exact opposite. That is like you would have the ultimate smooth engine right there. I think that's actually what BMW did in the 90s or so with their V12s in the 7 Series and whatnot. Is they would take two of their inline 6 engines, mount them onto one, mount them together, and make the cylinder, make the cylinders fire in, like one cylinder bank. The cylinders of one cylinder bank would fire at the exact opposite timings of the other one, and those engines were so smooth that you could, grab a full glass of water, put it on the engine, and put it on the engine head, and it would not spill any water. If I'd put a full glass of water onto my engine, onto the 4-cylinder diesel engine of my Golf, like it would definitely spill some water. There's no questions to ask. If not more. Like if you do the same thing on a 3-cylinder engine or something like that, or even 2-cylinder engine, then it would probably spill most of the water and maybe even make the glass fall down. So that's kind of how you can visualize smoothness. But anyway, for a luxury car, I recommend a torque-based engine, an engine that makes a lot of torque down low, because you don't want high revs, because high revs means lower reliability and also more noise, and we don't want that. So we're gonna go for the biggest cooler we can get, because of the reliability that gives us. The turbine is going to be really small, and the compressor is going to be smaller than what it is right now as well. You can see that the turbo would now already spool up before 2000 RPM, giving the impression of like a really, really torquey engine. Let's put this up to 50 or something and go a little bit higher on the AR ratio. Probably going to be revving this up to 6000 RPM, maybe a little bit above that. And this blue line represents the free radical boost, which is the one you shouldn't be looking for. You should rather look for the red line, which is the effective boost, like because some of it obviously gets lost in progress. That's just how it goes. Just like, you know, the horsepower output that we get here in this engine simulator or in this engine designer is not the wheel horsepower, as you call it, like the amount of horsepower that actually goes to the wheels, because some of it is lost in the process over the gearbox, over the drive shaft, and the yada yada yada. I don't need to tell you that. And same is basically the case for the turbo as well. This is the theoretical boost for what you're tuning. This is the one I'm mostly looking for. I'm mostly looking at, but what we should be looking at is the effective boost, the red line, because this represents what will actually happen. But I'm a theorist. I'm a man who loves you know, theory over practice. I'm always striving for the ideal, which I will probably never reach, but you know. Anyway, we're gonna run this on 95 octane fuel, because that is standard in Middle Europe. I'm gonna run it at 14 fuel mixture. You can go richer than that if you want more power, of course, because you know, a luxury car is not about fuel economy. Let's just put it that way. And RPM limit, let's go with 6,000 for now. Single exhaust, because that's all we have for inline 6 engines. How much power are we expecting to make? About 300 to 350, I would say. Reverse flow mufflers, because they have the most noise reduction. And let's do a test run. Oh, it already did the testing for us. So, this is not a great torque curve for drivability, because the turbo comes in pretty hard all of a sudden. But if you would like to make a turbo setup that's good for drivability, you would have to make it so the turbo spoos very slowly, and you know, the boost comes in just gradually over multiple thousands of RPMs. That would be ideal for drivability, but I think that's not even really possible in this game. And if it is, it'll make it so you don't have any power in the low RPMs. So I'm not all that interested in that. Let's give it just a bit more. $325. Okay, I think that's fine. That's a fine power output for a luxury car. It's just not meant to be fast. Okay. Now, the automatic transmission is, like, obviously the best for comfort, and I think in our case it might even be the best option. And I'm gonna go for a 5-speed ratio so we don't have to shift as much. Top speed will be higher than this. Now here's the thing. What kind of differential would we want for comfort? Probably the electric LSD, because not only is it, you know, the one that puts the power down best, making for the best drivability and sportiness, it's also, you know, for average comfort and very high off-road. So it doesn't really no downside to it other than the costs, which don't really matter on this car, because it's a luxury car. And we're gonna tune the gearing later. As far as tires go, I would suggest either medium compound or sports compound road tires. On this car we can probably make do with medium compound road tires. Now, for a luxury car, always go for the best, for the biggest wheel diameter. Then adjust your tire width. I think, given that this is an all-wheel drive car, 235 should be fine. We're not making crazy amounts of power. And now, last thing I do is the rim diameter. You want the front tires to be you know, the number between the tire width and the rim size is, you know, how much, like this profile right here, how much tire there is left once you have your rims set up. And you want that number about at 60. 65 is fine too, obviously. 55 can still be okay. But what this does, if it's too low, is that it basically makes you feel the bumps more, decreasing your comfort. And you don't want that on a luxury car. I think we're gonna go with 18s here, even though they're a little bit less prestigious than 19s. They should compensate for that with better comfort. Rims, like the rim design you take, doesn't matter. Okay, we're gonna go with vented discs because they add a little bit more weight than carbon ceramics, and I think they are not affecting prestige in any way, and therefore, you know, better. Therefore, they're better because, you know, more weight is equals more safety. As long as you're not making any brake fade, it should be fine with vented discs, totally fine. We're also gonna tune the pad type a little bit later, once we see the actual stats and all that. Under tray doesn't really matter at all. We're gonna go with fully clad for a slightly better top speed in the economy. And the cooling is gonna be reduced. I don't think we are gonna need brake airflow. We can deal with our situation. You can put a little bit of quality into the aero if you want to. I don't see a great reason to do that in this car. And here's the thing: 4 seats or 5 seats. That's always been a debate on luxury cars, or actually in cars in general. Because if you have a middle seat, like in most cases it's gonna be cramped anyway. Like fitting 3 adult people in the back is always gonna be a little bit tricky. So if you have 4 seats, however, like one on either side in the back, and then in between you can have basically anything, an armrest, or even a small fridge with a bottle of champagne like you get in a high-end Bentley or Rolls. That is, I think, even what we want in this car. And then luxury, you can also go with handmade. Like luxury or handmade is basically up to your choice how much money you want to spend on the car. Luxury infotainment is pretty much mandatory if it's really going to be a luxury car. We're going to fit all driver aids, even if nobody's ever going to use the launch control. And safety, since safety is a high priority on the main stats of what makes a luxury car good, we're gonna go for advanced, obviously. We're almost done with the basic architecture, if you will, with the bare essentials. What we're gonna do is active comfort springs, because they make for the best comfort, as he would suggest. We're gonna go for a comfort preset that we can change later if we feel the need to. And we're going to see what this does. 59 drivability, 70.6 comfort, 52 prestige, 90.1 safety. I'd say that's a pretty good start. What does this do? Luxury. Okay, so we should make this a little bit cheaper. Prestige is a little bit on the lower side. Footprint is plus 2.5. Of course, you can go with a V8. A V8 is not as smooth, so it will reduce your comfort rating. But it will give you more prestige. So wait, what is the thing? Yeah, we wanted to make it a little bit cheaper. So let's try and make it from aluminium. See what that does. We're almost back. We're almost up to 2 tons of weight. And then comfort went up, actually, surprisingly. And safety was reduced significantly, and then prestige went down too. However, overall, the luxury stat went up quite considerably because of what, actually? We're much more competitive now because it's a lot cheaper now. That is basically it. Luxury premium, however, is more about you know, more prestige and all that. You can see that actually more about comfort and prestige only. I would say, because luxury, on a regular luxury, you know, you see that the drivability matters a lot more with 16.3%, whereas on the luxury premium it's 8.8%. Smoothness plays a role as well. Safety. Actually, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna increase the quality on the safety options here, which will make our car more competitive in the luxury segment. Luxury premium as well, isn't it? Yes. Okay. Let's give it +5. Then we're up to 85 competitiveness. We are going to increase the top speed as well. Give it a little bit higher. Give it a little bit longer than it needs to be. 7.3 seconds is not slow from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, and also it makes it so we don't have to shift in order to reach, you know, the 100 kilometers an hour. We do not have any wheel spin whatsoever, so that means that the 235s are totally wide enough. Also, this is a very nice steering behavior graph for a luxury car, because spottiness doesn't matter. And the 1.02 drivability multiplier is so good. Now we're gonna go here. Oh, we have a little bit of brake fade, so that we can change by just increasing the size of the rotors, and then we can decrease the pad type to make it more comfortable. And also reduce weight a little bit. You know, weight is not, having low weight is not a concern on a luxury car like this. So we do now have a little bit of brake fade, so we will try and get rid of that. Okay, we need to keep the front pad type at 30, it seems, unless we put a little bit more quality into the brakes, but that, you know, actually let's do it. It didn't help anyway, so okay, it's fine. Aerodynamics. Doesn't matter, we don't have any aerodynamic fixtures on this car. Interior. Let's see. If we increase the if we increase the quality on the interior or entertainment, we will gain some competitiveness here. Let's go with like +5, and then +5 here as well. You know what? Let's try something. This makes it less competitive if we put a 5th seat on there, and also less affordable because obviously a 5th seat costs money. So +5 quality on each of those sections is definitely reasonable. If we go for a handmade, that'll put us much higher in the luxury premium segment, but much lower in the regular luxury range, because obviously a handmade interior is very, very expensive and probably out of reach for most customers of the luxury category. What else can we do? This is a very nice body bump graph, or what's this one called? So the front needs to be a little bit stiffer, maybe. Actually, it is quite stiff already. Reducing the rear spring a little bit gives us better comfort, and also did just increase the luxury thing here. Like a drivability of 60 is very nice for a turbocharged engine, because obviously turbocharged engines will make for worse drivability. Lowering the ride height actually just gave us some comfort. Now it reduced it because we got some bottoming out. That's fine. Put it back up. 89.8. What else do we need? More comfort, more prestige, or more safety, or more drivability. Okay, so what we could also do is give this a sequential gearbox, and the double clutch one at that. 8 speeds, we would go up to 100 in second gear. That did not cost us all too much, but it did cost us a little bit of competitiveness. Also, you can see the big difference, 5.9 seconds now from 0 to 100 compared to the not only the 6.8 that it does with the automatic, also compared to this 7.5 here. But this gives us the best luxury rating overall here. Let's try and see how this actually goes in practice. Yeah, it takes a while until it really starts going. You might also give it a 6-speed box, but the trick here is, since the automatics are shifting so slowly, you want to have to shift as few times as possible, and this just gave us quite a lot of benefit here, even increased the luxury overall here. And you know, 5 or 6 speeds is definitely something you might consider for that reason. Let's see. Detail stats. What about the comfort? Chassis stiffness minus 0.6%. Torque curve minus... Actually, that's not too bad. I was expecting more penalty there. Entertainment plus 46%. That's what I like to see. Also, you know, let's go back to the engine for a second. I think that if we have reverse flow mufflers and we increase the quality here, yep, it did reduce our loudness, which should in turn give us some more comfort than it did, but it reduced the drivability. However, I'm still pretty happy with this car overall, because we are very competitive here in the luxury segment while also being affordable. Actually, let's crank this up a little bit so we actually make profit. Let's sell this for, say, 85,000 euros or dollars, which is still 9% of benefit. Actually, given it's a luxury car, we should sell it for a little bit more than that. Let's sell it for 90,000. That's 15% of profit. It is still competitive here. Very competitive in the luxury segment, and also quite affordable. And even in the luxury premium or luxury superior category, it is still quite competitive with 79.9 and extremely affordable with 98.9%. Also, convertible luxury. If you ever wanted to make this, if you ever wanted to cut the roof off, it would be a very nice car there as well. The economy doesn't matter on a car like this anyway, so just little things. And that is how you make a competitive luxury car. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button, helps out a great deal. Subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.